The space station floated silently in the dark of space. It was called Relanant, a shared outpost used by many species for research, trade, and repairs. Humans, Valari, Threxans, and more lived and worked side by side. The station wasn't fancy, but it worked. And that's why Ethan was there. Ethan was a human engineer. He liked fixing things, didn't like politics or war. He liked quiet jobs, wires and circuits, kept his head down, and worked hard. His cabin was small, but it had a window. He loved looking at the stars at night. It made him feel calm. One day, a power failure hit the lower deck. Station command called for help, and Ethan grabbed his toolkit. When he reached the power bay, someone else was already there, crouched by the fuse panels. She turned around when she heard him. Her skin was a soft violet, and her eyes were silver, almost glowing. She was Valerian, alien species known for their graceful movements and calm nature. "You must be the human engineer," she said in a soft voice. Ethan nodded, caught off guard. "Yeah, I'm Ethan." "I'm Lyra," she said, and stood up. They worked side by side, checking damaged wires and rerouting energy flows. Lyra moved with silent grace. Her hands were quick and steady. She didn't speak much, but when she did, her voice was calm, like wind over still water. Ethan tried not to stare, but she was beautiful, strange, and beautiful. He had never seen a Valari up close before. Her face looked peaceful, and her skin had small, shimmering patterns that changed color with the light. He kept his eyes on his tools, but his thoughts wandered. She suddenly looked at him with a quiet smile. "Your mind is loud." He blinked. "What?" "Nothing," she said quickly, and returned to work. He felt his face grow warm. Had she? No, that wasn't possible. He shook his head and focused on reconnecting the energy core. Later that day, Ethan sat in the cafeteria, thinking about the strange moment. Her words echoed in his mind. "Your mind is loud." What did she mean? Did she somehow hear what he was thinking? The next day he saw her again, this time at the docking bay. They were assigned to repair an incoming cargo ships. "Damaged thruster?" "Hello again," she said, her voice still soft but warmer. Ethan smiled. "Hi, Lyra." As they worked, he tried very hard not to think anything strange, but that made it worse. His mind was a storm. "Don't think about her eyes. Don't think she's beautiful. Just focus on the wires." He bit his lip. She looked at him, her head tilted. Why do humans try to hide their thoughts so much? His hands froze. "Wait, can you actually read minds?" Lyra looked away for a second. "My kind, we are telepaths. We don't hear everything. Only strong thoughts and emotions. When you think something loud, it's hard to ignore." Ethan stared. "So, you heard what I was thinking before?" She nodded. "A little. Don't worry. It wasn't rude. It was honest." He scratched the back of his neck. "Sorry, I didn't know." "You don't have to be sorry," she said. "You didn't say anything cruel. Many minds are filled with fear or hate. Yours wasn't." They finished the job in silence, but it wasn't awkward. It was a quiet understanding. Ethan felt exposed, like someone had read pages from a journal he didn't mean to show. But somehow, it didn't feel bad. In the days that followed, they saw more of each other. The station had more malfunctions. Nothing serious, but enough to keep engineers busy. Lyra often joined Ethan during the repair work. She started asking small questions about human tools, human jokes, and human food. Ethan told her about pizza, and she looked amazed. "You bake flat bread and put everything on top?" "Yeah, cheese, meat, vegetables, anything." She smiled. "That sounds like art." Ethan laughed. "Some people call it that." She looked at him again, her eyes calm. "Your thoughts are quieter now." He raised an eyebrow. "Really? You've stopped being afraid of what I might hear." He nodded slowly. "I guess I just got used to it." That night, Ethan sat alone in the observation deck. The stars stretched far and endless outside the wide glass window. He heard soft footsteps behind him. He didn't need to turn around. He already knew it was her. "You like watching the stars?" she said. "Yeah. They make everything else feel small. Even my thoughts. She sat beside him. Not small, just human. Ethan smiled. Is that a good thing? It can be, she said. They didn't speak for a while, and yet something passed between them. No words, but still something warm and clear. You're thinking about me again, she whispered. He looked away, embarrassed. Sorry, she shook her head. I don't mind. I like how you think. Ethan turned to her. You're not uncomfortable? No, she said. You're not hiding anything. Your mind is honest. I've never known a human like that before. He wanted to say more, but he wasn't sure what. Instead, he just sat there watching the stars. Beside him, Lyra sat in silence. Yet he felt as if they were talking in a different way, mind to mind, heart to heart. Since that night under the stars, something had quietly changed between Ethan and Lyra. They didn't talk about it. They didn't need to, but their eyes met more often. Their smiles lasted longer. Their conversations, though simple, felt warmer, like something unspoken was growing between them. Ethan still got nervous around her sometimes, not because she was alien or different, but because she could hear things he didn't say. Every time he caught himself thinking something he wouldn't say out loud, like how beautiful her voice was or how peaceful she made him feel, he would try to stop. But it never worked. And every time Lyra would give him that soft smile, the one that said, "Yes, I heard you bet. It's okay," one afternoon. They were assigned to repair a set of broken scanners near the outer ring of the station. It was a quiet job, and the walkway overlooked a wide part of open space. They floated carefully in their suits, connected to the structure by magnetic boots. Lyra worked in silence, but Ethan could feel her presence even through the comlink. You ever feel small out here? He asked, checking the damaged panel. Sometimes, Lyra replied, but I like it. Stars don't care who you are. They don't judge your thoughts. He chuckled. It's so better than most people, huh? Yes, she said gently. But not all people. They worked in silence again. Then Lyra spoke, her voice softer. Do humans always think so much? All the time, Ethan said. Sometimes even when we don't want to, your thoughts. They move fast. Emotions, ideas, worries. You feel so many things at once. Sorry, Ethan muttered. I know it must be a mess in there. No, she said quickly. It's beautiful, like watching a storm full of color. I've never met a mind like yours. Ethan didn't know what to say. His heart beat a little faster. Do you hear everyone's thoughts like that? He asked after a while. Not really, Lyra said. It's only if they're close and thinking loudly. But with you, it's stronger. Clearer. Ethan thought about that. Maybe it's because I'm always thinking about you. She was silent for a moment. I know, she whispered. They finished the repairs and returned to the station. But the silence between them wasn't awkward. It was heavy with meaning. That evening, Ethan was sitting alone in his cabin when his door chimed. He stood up and opened it to find Lyra standing there, hands folded. Can I come in? She asked. Yeah, of course. She stepped in quietly, looking around his small space. There was a tool rack, a simple bunk, and a window showing the stars. She walked over and looked out. You always sit by the window, she said. I like the view, so do I. They sat beside each other in silence for a while, and Lyra turned to him. I've been thinking, she said. Maybe I shouldn't. Read your thoughts anymore? Ethan looked at her, surprised. Why? Because your thoughts are yours, and I don't want to take that away from you. He shook his head. Lyra, I don't mind. I mean, sure, it was weird at first. But now, I kind of like that you know what I'm thinking. She tilted her head. Even the embarrassing things? He laughed, especially those. I don't have to figure out how to say them. She smiled, looking down. I don't want to scare you. I've scared people before. When they found out I could hear them, they pushed me away. I'm not going to do that, Ethan said firmly. You're not just a telepath. You're someone I trust and someone I care about. She met his eyes. He leaned back against the wall. You probably knew that weeks ago. Yes, she said. But hearing it still matters. Suddenly, the station lights flickered. The power dropped for a moment. Then emergency systems kicked in. A loud beep came from the intercom. All personnel, report to your assigned emergency zones. System alert, unauthorized ship detected. Near Sector 3. Ethan stood up fast. That's the maintenance wing. Lyra's eyes grew sharp. We need to go. They grabbed their gear and rushed out. The hallway was filled with flashing lights and confused voices. Someone shouted that an unknown vessel had attached itself to the outer hull without warning. The airlock was breached. Possible boarding, Ethan. And Lyra took the lower route through the service tunnel, reaching the emergency maintenance bay. As they entered, the lights went red. In the shadows, they saw two figures strange, armored shapes trying to access the main control panel. Intruders, Lyra said quietly. Ethan crouched. Do you hear anything from them? She closed her eyes. Her breathing slowed. They're thinking about taking control of the station's backup core. They want to shut down communications and steal data. We need to stop them, Ethan. Said I can distract them, Lyra whispered. I'll push thoughts into their minds, make them think something's wrong. Can you do that? I can try. She stepped forward quietly, eyes glowing faintly. The intruders froze, looking around in confusion. Now, she said. Ethan moved fast, yanking the power fuse from the panel, disabling their tools. He grabbed a shock baton from the wall and hit the nearest one. Lyra focused on the other intruder. Sending waves of fear and confusion into his mind, the figure backed away, tripped, and fell. When it was over, station security arrived and took the intruders into custody. Ethan and Lyra stood together, catching their breath. You were amazing, Ethan said. Lyra looked at him. You weren't afraid of you? Never, she smiled. I heard your thoughts again. Yeah, you were thinking. I hope she's okay. He nodded. I was. She reached out and gently touched his hand. Thank you. And, just like that, with alarms fading behind them, they stood together mind to mind and closer than ever before. After the attack on the station, everything changed. Though the intruders had been caught, their presence had left everyone on edge. Engineers were ordered to double-check systems. Guards were posted at every entrance. Meetings were held behind closed doors, but for Ethan and Lyra, the event had pulled them even closer. They had saved the station together. They had trusted each other without needing words. And now, people began to notice how often they were together. No one said anything. But eyes watched and whispers passed. Ethan didn't care. It's not anymore. He found himself looking forward to every moment with her. Even simple things, walking through quiet halls or fixing a blinking light, felt special when she was nearby one evening. They were back in the observation room. The stars looked calm, like nothing bad had ever happened. Ethan sat on the floor, arms resting on his knees. Lyra sat beside him, her back straight, her silver eyes full of thought. Your mind is quiet tonight, she said. That's rare, he smiled. Not rare anymore, she replied. You've learned how to calm it. Only when you're... Here she turned toward him. You're not scared of me? Never, Ethan said softly. You hear things I don't say. But I like that. It means I can't lie to you, even by accident. Lyra nodded. Most people try to lie, even to themselves. He looked at her carefully. What about you? Can I ask something personal? You already did, she smiled. Do you ever get tired of hearing people's thoughts? Yes, she said. Sometimes the noise is too much. Feelings that don't belong to me. Fears, pain, selfish wishes. Ethan looked down, and mine. Yours are warm, bright, sometimes silly, sometimes deep, but always clear. You think from the heart, even when you're confused. He laughed. I do think about you a lot. I know, she said, and you still try not to. He grinned, 'cause you hear it, and I like what I hear. They sat in silence again. Yet the quiet between them wasn't empty, it was full of shared emotion. No one else could understand how they spoke without speaking. Suddenly, Lyra stood. Come with me. Where? I want to show you something. Ethan followed her through the winding corridors. They took a lift down to one of the old storage levels. It was dark and unused, filled with forgotten crates and parts. Lyra led him to a door at the back. Inside was a small hidden room. Dim blue lights glowed from the walls. In the middle was a large stone round and flat covered in strange symbols. Round it were old Velari markings, What is this? Ethan asked. This is part of my people's history, she said. We brought it here long ago. It helps our minds focus. Keeps us safe from thoughts that are too heavy, like a shield. Yes, but also a memory. This place reminds me of home. Ethan stepped closer. You trust me enough to bring me here? She nodded. Yes. He looked around the room. It was peaceful quiet in a way that felt deeper than silence. He could barely hear his own thoughts. Like his mind had slowed down. This place is amazing, he whispered. It is, Lyra said. And now it has a new memory. One I'll remember forever. They left the room, and for a long time neither of them spoke. Words weren't needed anymore. Over the next few days, the station remained tense. More reports came in about other intruder sightings on nearby stations. The command crew started training emergency teams. Ethan was put on one of them. Lyra joined too. They trained together, side by side, learning how to move, react, defend. During one training drill, a loud alarm rang out. Smoke filled the hallway as part of the drill. Ethan stepped ahead to clear the way. Suddenly, the floor. Panel gave way beneath him. He slipped, nearly falling into an open maintenance. Pit-Butt's strong hands grabbed him just in time. Lyra held on, her face tense. Don't let go, she whispered, pulling him up. After catching his breath, Ethan looked at her half laughing. Guess you saw that coming? No, she said. I felt your panic. Like a wave. So you saved me because you felt it. Yes, your fear called to me. He looked into her eyes. I'm really glad you were here. Me too. She said as they walked back. Lyra spoke quietly, When you fell, I heard more than fear. You weren't just scared of falling. You were scared I'd lose you. He stopped walking. You're right. Does that mean something? Doesn't it? He nodded. Yeah, it means everything. Shh. She stepped closer. Then you don't need to think it anymore. You can say it. Ethan looked down for a second, then up. Lyra, I care about you. Deeply. She smiled. I know, I care too. Their hands touched. It wasn't big or dramatic. Just gentle, real, honest. That night, Ethan couldn't sleep, not because he was worried, but because his heart was too full. He lay on his bunk, staring at the stars, thinking about everything. That had happened, and he knew whatever came next, he wouldn't face it alone. The station lights flickered again, not from danger this time, but from aging systems that hadn't been checked in months. Ever since the attack, all energy was focused on defense and scans. Maintenance came second. Ethan and Lyra were sent to the cooling systems near the lower reactor. It was one of the quietest places on the station, hidden deep between heavy walls and pipes that hummed with power. The air was warmer here, dry and still. Lyra worked on a panel while Ethan held the scanner. They moved like a team now, no need. To explain anything, glance or soft nod was enough. This place reminds me of home, Lyra said suddenly, looking up. Your planet? Ethan asked. Yes, Valari cities are underground, quiet and full of hums, like this. We used to sit near heat vents and listen. Ethan smiled. Sounds peaceful? It was, until the war. I turned toward her. You've never talked about that before. Lyra paused, her fingers still on the panel. My people were dragged into a conflict we didn't start. Our leaders tried to stay neutral, but others didn't respect that. We lost many cities. Too many minds were silenced. Ethan lowered the scanner. I'm sorry, Lyra. She shook her head slowly. It's in the past, but sometimes I still hear echoes of it. Sadness doesn't disappear. It stays in quiet corners. Ethan moved closer, gently resting his hand near hers, without touching. Not alone anymore. She looked at him, her eyes soft. I know. They finished the repairs, but neither wanted to leave. The silence in that warm space felt comforting. Ethan finally broke it with a quiet laugh. You know what's funny? He asked. What? Before I met you, I thought aliens were hard to understand. Now, you're the one person who understands me the most. Lyra smiled. Because I read your mind? No, he said. Because you listen. Really listen. Walked back slowly, side by side. Later that evening, Station Command called a meeting. All key members were their scientists, security, engineers. Lyra and Ethan sat near the back, listening as the chief gave updates. "We've picked up signals from the same ship that attacked us," the chief said. "It's circling nearby, not close enough to strike, but close enough to watch." Murmurs filled the room. "What do they want?" someone asked. "We're not sure," the chief replied. "But they're searching for something. Think they're..." After Valari technology, all eyes turned, almost by accident, to Lyra. She didn't flinch. Instead, she stood calmly. "If they're after our tech, they may return. And if they do?" the chief asked. "We'll be ready," she said. After the meeting, Ethan and Lyra returned to the observation deck. It had become their place, quiet, far from the noise. Ethan stared at the stars. "They're still out there, yes," Lyra said. "Watching, waiting. What if they attack again?" Lyra turned to him. "Then we fight. Not with weapons alone, but with trust. With minds that know each other." He looked at her. "Ooh, you believe in us that much?" "Yes," she said. "'Cause I can feel it in you. The strength, the will." He smiled. "Scared of doing the wrong thing. Scared of doing the wrong thing. Scared of not being enough. Now," she asked. "Now I'm still scared, but less, because you're here." She reached out and took his hand. "We're stronger together." They stood like that for a while, watching the stars. The next day, they were assigned to a deeper section of the station, the old archive bay. It hadn't been used in years. Systems were old, the doors slow to open. But someone had reported strange signals from there. As they entered, a cold breeze moved through the dusty room. Old data cores blinked weakly in the dark. "This place gives me chills," Ethan whispered. "Something's wrong," Lyra said. They moved carefully, checking systems. And then they found a small device hidden behind a core, not part of the station. Alien design, sleek and black with blinking lights. "A tracker," Lyra said. "They're watching us from here." Ethan cursed under his breath. They knew where to attack. Lyra reached out, then paused. "Wait. It's more than a tracker. It's listening. 2 thoughts. Telepathic tech. Yes, stolen. Dangerous." Ethan stepped back. "Can it hear us?" "Not now," Lyra said. "It's sleeping, but we have to destroy it." They worked quickly, disabling the power and wrapping the device in shielding. They turned it in to Command, who sealed it in the vault. But the damage was done. "They know I'm here," Lyra said later. "And now they'll come," Ethan added. "Yes," she said. He looked at her. "We'll face them together." She nodded. No more hiding. That night, as alarms stayed quiet and stars kept shining, Ethan realized something. He wasn't just close to Lyra anymore. He was connected to her mind, heart, soul, and he knew without a doubt that their story was only beginning. The next morning, the station felt heavier, like something unseen had settled over it. People moved quickly, eyes scanning shadows, hands close to tools or sidearms. After the tracker was found, trust and safety had cracked. Ethan stood in the control room, checking systems with a tight jaw. Lyra stood beside him, her gaze distant, as if listening for something not yet heard. "You feel it too?" Ethan asked without looking at her. "Yes," she replied. "They're closer now," Ethan sighed. "They'll come again, and this time they'll want you." Lyra didn't answer. Instead, she looked at the main screen where a map of space blinked with movement. A single dot hovered near the edge watching. "They think I'm a tool," she said. "Something to take or break." "Then they don't know who you are," Ethan said firmly. She looked at him. "I know what you're thinking." He smiled weakly. "Of course you do. You're afraid. But not of them." "I'm afraid of losing you," he admitted. She didn't speak. She didn't need to. She reached out and held his hand firm, steady. Later, Command ordered all specialists to prepare for defense. The station had weapons, but not many. Its purpose was peace and science, not war. Ethan was called to the hangar to assist with emergency repairs on the drone launchers. Lyra was assigned to the Intel Center. They didn't want to be apart, but there was no choice. Before she left, she turned to him. "We will see each other again. Promise." "I already saw it," she said softly. "In your mind." Hours passed. The station buzzed with activity. Engineers worked like never before. Security teams drilled with sharp focus. Every creak of metal, every flicker of a light made hearts jump. And then it happened. Alarms rang through the halls. Red lights flashed. Ship had appeared just outside the defense zone. Silent, dark, and deadly. "Code Black," the voice said over the speakers. "All units report." Ethan ran toward the hangar bay. Drones were launching, systems humming. As he reached the controls, an explosion rocked the floor. He hit the ground hard. Smoke filled the air. He crawled to the panel, coughing, and forced the system to restart. Half the drones were gone. Damage from inside. Sabotage. "They had help," he muttered. In the Intel Center, Lyra stood among blinking screens. Her mind reached out, searching for thoughts, waves of fear, command, anger. She felt the enemy ship's crew. Not just soldiers, but trackers, like the device they found. They were focused, searching for her. "They want my mind," she whispered. She closed her eyes and reached deeper. Her body stilled, but her thoughts raced. She followed the mental threads back to the ship, saw the layout, felt the pressure of their desire to control her. "No," she said aloud, "you won't." Lyra sent out a pulse, not of power, but of confusion. It traveled like a ripple, reaching the enemy crew. One by one, their minds clouded. Orders twisted. Thoughts slowed. Back in the hangar, Ethan struggled to fix the last launcher. His hand shook from smoke and pain, but he kept working. Suddenly the screen blinked green. "Systems online," it said. "Yes," he shouted and hit the launch key. 5 defense drones flew out of the station and began to orbit. They weren't strong, but they were fast and smart. Just then, Lyra appeared at the hangar door. She looked tired, her steps slower than usual. "You okay?" Ethan asked, rushing to her. "I held them back." "For now," she said. "But they're angry now." Ethan nodded. "Then let's give them a reason to stay afraid." Together they headed to the command deck. The captain looked surprised to see them, but nodded when Lyra shared what she had done. "We need to strike fast," Ethan said. While they're still confused, "We don't have weapons strong enough," someone argued. "We don't need to destroy them," Lyra said. "We just need to make them leave." "How?" the captain asked. Lyra looked at Ethan. "Do you trust me?" "Always," he said. She turned back. "Connect the cum array to me. I'll send them a message." "A message." The captain frowned. "Not with words, with thought." The room fell silent. 10 minutes later, Lyra stood in the center of the cum chamber. Wires linked to her skin, her mind synced to the station's powerful relay systems. Ethan stood at her side, ready to stop it if anything went wrong. She closed her eyes. Her thoughts flew outward faster than light. She didn't send fear. She didn't send threats. She sent something stronger. She sent truth. She showed them who she was, a mind that could not be controlled. She showed them the station, a place where humans and aliens worked together. She showed them Ethan, his open thoughts, his courage, his care. And she warned them, if they returned, they would face not just weapons, but willpower human and Valari joined. A force no device could trap, no scanner could read. When she opened her eyes, the screens flickered. The enemy ship turned. Slow at first, then faster. And then it was gone, vanishing into the darkness. Cheers broke out, but Lyra didn't smile. She simply leaned on Ethan. "You did it," he said gently. "We did," she whispered. He held her close. "You saved us again." "So I heard your thoughts," she said. "And what did they say?" "They said, 'Stay with me. Always.'" He smiled. "And what did you think?" "I already had." The days after the enemy ship left were quiet, but the quiet felt different now. It was the kind of stillness that came after a storm, where everyone took a deep breath but still looked over their shoulder. Repairs continued all across the station. Wires were replaced, doors realigned, scanners fixed. Everything had to be made new again, stronger. But among all the hands working, Ethan and Lyra stood out. They worked together more than ever. No one questioned it. The crew had seen what they did, had seen the trust between a human and a Valari. It was something unspoken but powerful. Ethan noticed the way people treated Lyra now. There was respect in their eyes, not fear. Some still kept their distance, unsure of her mind reading, but no one doubted her loyalty. One morning, while they were repairing an old navigation panel, Ethan asked her something he had kept to himself for days. Lyra, do you ever wish you weren't a telepath? She looked at him, surprised. Why do you ask? Just wondering, he said. I mean, it must be hard sometimes. She wiped her hands on a cloth and sat down beside the panel. It is. Some minds are loud, messy, even painful. Some thoughts come with anger or fear. Sometimes it hurts. He sat beside her. Then why not shut it off? 'Cause then I wouldn't hear the good ones, she said quietly. I wouldn't. Hear laughter, kindness, hope. I wouldn't have heard you. Ethan's heart skipped. Me? She nodded. You think you're just a mechanic? Just a quiet human? But your thoughts are full of light. You don't hide your feelings. Even when you try, they shine through. Guess I'm not good at secrets, he smiled. I like that, she said. They sat in silence for a moment, then she added, and, no, I don't wish to be different. Even with the pain, this gift helps me see people for who they really are. And that's worth it. Ethan looked down at his hands. I've never been good with words. I always mess up when I try to say important things. Lyra touched his arm. Then don't say it. Think it. I'll hear you. He smiled and closed his eyes for a second. He let his mind open. Let the thoughts rise like soft waves. You matter to me, more than anyone else ever has. I don't want to lose you. When he opened his eyes, Lyra's were already filled with quiet emotion. Thank you, she whispered. They finished the repair in comfortable silence, but a quiet buzz on the comm unit pulled them back to duty. A message had arrived from Central. Command. The station's report on the attack and Lyra's role had been received and it had caused ripples. The Valari Council sent a reply. They wanted to speak with Lyra directly. They've been silent for years, Lyra said, reading the message. They were afraid of letting the galaxy see our minds again. And now, Ethan asked, now they want to meet me. And they want you there too. Me. Why? Because you changed me, Lyra said. Because your thoughts made me brave. The meeting was set for 3 days later. A transport ship arrived quietly without lights or noise. It looked like a silver teardrop floating in space. Lyra and Ethan boarded together inside. The ship was silent. No humming engines, no blinking lights, just smooth walls and gentle warmth. They were led to a chamber where 3 Valari elders waited. Their eyes were old and deep, but not cold. They looked at Lyra with something like awe. You bonded with a human, one said gently. Yes, Lyra replied. He sees you. Not your powers, not your race, but you. Yes. The elder turned to Ethan. Do you fear her? Never, Ethan said without hesitation. Do you trust her? With my life? The elders looked at each other, then back at Lyra. You have reminded us what it means to feel another mind without fear. Your connection has done what speeches could not. You gave hope. Lyra bowed her head. Thank you. We wish to send a message through you to show the galaxy that the Valari are not silent shadows. We are voices. And we stand beside humans. The meeting ended with quiet approval. Lyra and Ethan returned to the station later that evening. Still trying to understand what had just happened? That felt big, Ethan said. It was, Lyra replied. Our story just became more than just ours. Back on the station, life slowly returned to normal. But things had changed. Lyra was now a bridge between 2 peoples, and Ethan. He had become more than just a mechanic. One night, while watching the stars, Ethan leaned toward her. Do you hear what I'm thinking? Always, Lyra smiled. Then you know I'm not done with you. Hope not, she said. They laughed softly. The stars above them didn't speak. But something between them did something louder than words, stronger than fear.